What's up, everyone? It's the OOTP GM. I want to welcome you all to the 7th episode here of my Detroit Tigers GM Let's Play here on Out of the Park Baseball 18. So I'm back here for the second part of the 2017 offseason with the Detroit Tigers, and I'm just going to get right into it. I did a lot of stuff off screen, did a lot of research for some other stuff, and just want to move this right along so we can get through this and go ahead and get through this episode, and then we'll have the start of the 2018 season in the next episode. So I'm here at the free agency screen, and I want to show you guys a couple of moves that I made off screen. So we signed Danny Espinosa to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract. He's going to compete for our starting shortstop position. Signed him because he's versatile at second base. He's a pretty good infielder, and his batting ratings aren't great, but he's a versatile infielder, and he's a guy that could potentially be kind of an Andrew Romine type of guy if he doesn't win the starting role from us. I also signed Christian Vasquez to be our backup catcher. He got a kind of a minor league contract with a signing bonus, so if we call him up before the start of the regular season, then we're fine, but if we don't call him up, he becomes a free agent. That's not going to be a problem because we're going to call him up as soon as he'll probably make the roster out of spring training. Then I saw Francisco Liriano as a free agent. Wasn't looking for much, so I offered him a 3-year, $7.8 million deal. Very team friendly, 3rd-year team option. And then the Leon Landry guy that I don't know if there was a glitch or what happened, but he wasn't on our team when we traded for him, so I have to offer him a minor league contract. I didn't want to just put him on our team, even though I probably should do that. I didn't want to do that because nobody's going to sign him anyway. So just offered him a minor league contract and he'll be on our team. But the big thing that I wanted to show is we are going to pull the trigger on a massive trade. I spent a lot of time, did a lot of research on this, and we are going to pull a trade for Justin Verlander. Now, this obviously I'm going to have to go into commissioner mode. I'm going to have to force this trade through because Verlander won't waive his 10-5 rights. But I did a lot of research on this, and I compared it to some other trades with big-time pitchers in the past, and this is what I came up with. So the Blue Jays are a team. I tried to make this work with a couple other teams. The Blue Jays are the team that I came back to because it made the most sense and it seemed the fairest. So the Blue Jays are a team that are in win-now mode. They just missed the playoffs by 1 game last year. But their pitching staff is in disarray. Sanchez and Stroman are their top 2 starters, but then Happ is an older guy, didn't pitch very well. Then they got 2 young, unproven guys in their staff. But they are going for it in terms of trying to win. They signed Carlos Gonzalez to a couple-year deal. They've got a couple of other big-time guys on their team. So they are in win-now mode. It even says they are in win-now mode. So it makes sense for them to make a trade like this to try and win over the next couple of seasons to try and win that title. And we're obviously in the phase of we're kind of in an in-between phase. We're going to look to rebuild in the future, but we're also going to maybe try to go for it one more time next year. But this trade makes sense for us because we already have, as I talked about in the last episode, we've already got a lot of roster spots filled in terms of pitching. So in this trade, we would send Verlander to the Blue Jays. We would get their number 1 prospect, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Then we get Max Pentecost, Travis Hosterman, and Gilbert Morero. Pentecost, I think, is rated number 7 in this game, but in real life, he's their number 12 prospect. Hosterman is ranked like 25th. I don't know where he's ranked in this game, but in real life, he's like their number 25 or number 26 prospect. And then Morero's just a toss-in lottery ticket kind of guy. We would be retaining 25% of Verlander's salary in this deal, so basically we'd be throwing in $14 million to make this deal work. And I came up with this group of players because I looked at the deals that Quintana and Sale got, and Sale's deal was 4 top 30 prospects, including 3 top 10 guys. But Sale was younger and more controllable than Verlander, and there wasn't any money tossed in, so obviously it's not going to be a deal like that. And then the Quintana deal that just happened in real life, it was a deadline deal, but same thing, younger, more controllable. That deal, the top 2 prospects from the Cubs went to the White Sox, and then the other 2 guys weren't ranked in the top 30. But for this is kind of like the best of both worlds. we were going to have to throw in money regardless, so that's why we're able to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but the other guys are kind of mid-level guys, and like I said, Moreira's just a toss-in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this deal happen. Like I said, I have to do commissioner mode to force the trade through. I don't like doing this, but like I said, in real life, I believe this is a fair trade. I believe the Blue Jays would do this. I believe Verlander would accept this trade, knowing that we're not going to be going for it probably in a couple of years. And with the Blue Jays, he has 2 years, maybe even 3 years, that they pick up his team option to try and win now. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to complete this trade. Obviously, our fans are not going to be happy that we did that. I'm going to undo commissioner mode now. I only needed it for that. But, like I said, I think that is a huge deal for us. It makes our team, we get a lot of really great prospects in return. It frees up salary space for us. You go in here and you'll see taking his $28 million really frees up a lot of salary cap space, or a lot of payroll space really for us, because we're going to have guys that we're going to have to pay. You can see Verlander, here's 25% that we're retaining. We're going to have to pay some of these guys coming up in the next couple of years because of arbitration and stuff. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys who I'm going to vote for in the Hall of Fame voting. And then we'll move on to the Rule 5 draft, and then we'll just keep skipping forward until the beginning of next season when we get into spring training and stuff like that. And we'll go from there. So I was looking through the list, and obviously I don't vote for the cheaters. I don't vote for guys like Roger Clemens. If they get in on their own, I can't help that, but I don't vote for those guys. So Vladimir Guerrero is a guy that I'm going to vote for. I think he's got really good stats. Obviously Trevor Hoffman, going to vote for him. And then Chipper Jones, going to vote for him. He's a pretty obvious contender. I think Jeff Kent is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's going to get in real life or in this game, but I think Jeff Kent is a Hall of Famer. Edgar Martinez is a Hall of Famer in my opinion. I think he should be in. I don't think there's any question about that. I think Fred McGriff should be getting higher numbers, but of course he's probably not going to get in both this game or in real life. I like Mike Mussina. I would vote for him. And pretty much, I think that's pretty much it. Obviously not going to vote for Manny Ramirez. He's a cheater. Kurt Schilling, I would vote for him. You have to ignore the social media stuff. I think just based on merit, he's a Hall of Fame pitcher. Obviously, Jim Thome is going to get a vote here. And I believe that's it. I think that was pretty much it. I looked over the rest of the players, and I think that's the only other one that I would vote for. Billy Wagner, I'm kind of on the fence about. Omar Vizquel's kind of the same thing. I'm on the fence about him. He played a really long time, had a lot of gold gloves, but I'm not really sure if he ticks off all of the boxes for me. So I'm not going to vote for that. I like to see what the computer thinks of these guys sometimes before I vote for them. You know, same thing with like Larry Walker. Larry Walker, I'm like on the fence about too. He's not going to get in, but I would still vote for him if I thought so. But anyway, so those are the guys that I'm going to vote for that are on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. So it's 9 guys. I'm going to submit my ballot. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward just a couple of days here to the Rule 5 draft. For those that are not familiar, the Rule 5 draft is a draft where you can pick guys from other people's... Oh, Lander signed with us, great. From other people's minor league systems. Here are the rules. I'll leave these up real quick while I kind of explain it. You can pick guys for your team. They have to stay on your major league roster for an entire season, or if they don't, they get reverted back to their original team. Even if he gets traded, he has to stay on a major league roster for an entire season. So what I normally do is I go through here and I look at, whoops, this is not, okay, I'm going to make this really easy on myself. We're going to do this. We're going to do head OSA ratings, head scout. Now it'll be head scout again. That's a little trick for people who need to know that. Christian Vasquez, obviously we want to put him on the secondary roster. And then pretty much everybody that has a hashtag mark next to it or a pound sign, those are the guys that can be selected. So normally I look for guys that are at least 2.5 to 3-star potential. Like these older guys here, if they happen to get selected, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Landry we want to put on there because we just signed him to a deal. So we're going to put him on the 40-man. And then going through here, Shepard's a guy that I'm going to want to put on the 40-man. I don't want him to get selected because he's got a chance to come up here in a short period of time. Go through, look at Lakeland. Our Venti Perez is a guy who his ratings have dropped, unfortunately. I would normally have put him on there, but his ratings have dropped, so I'm not going. If he gets picked, it's not a big deal to me. I'm gonna have to go through before I forget and put like Vladimir Guerrero and some of these other guys on my short list because I don't want them being treated by the. So everybody else is pretty much the same here. There's nobody else that I'm going to put on that I'm going to take off. So that's it. So we're going to go ahead and again, Montreal Robertson, this guy here, if he gets selected, I'm not going to lose any sleep. Same thing with Sandy Baez. If he gets selected, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go to the Rule 5 draft. We're going to continue the Rule 5 draft. We're going to auto pick until our pick. We're going to see what pops up here. So, got a relief pitcher here, J.R. Graham from Scranton. And I think I'm going to pick this guy. I'm going to see if our scout recommends anybody. He doesn't. But this guy here is a potential reliever. We're not losing anything if we pick him and he doesn't stay on our roster. So I'm going to draft him. Auto pick until our next pick. And then there's nobody else here that really excites me. Again, this closer, he's only in Double-A currently though. This Drew Stendecker. I might actually pick this guy too. This gives us a couple more bullpen arms. If they don't make the team, it's not a huge deal. I'm not really losing anything if they don't make the team. So I'm gonna grab him, and then that's gonna be it for me. So I'm gonna complete the draft. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward here. Hopefully, I'm going to skip forward to the Hall of Fame voting results. Hopefully, Liriano will sign that contract with us soon, because if Liriano signs that contract, that gives us 5 starting pitchers for next year. All 5 starting pitchers will be locked down. Every other position that we had a need at will be locked down. Backup catcher will be Vasquez. We've got Espinoza to compete with Romine and a handful of other guys for that position. All of these trade proposals are going to be garbage, so I don't even bother looking at them anymore. Jordan Zimmerman suffers a setback. Oh no, 8 months. That is not good. So Zimmerman will not be ready for the start of the season. So we're going to have to go out and maybe look for a starting pitcher now, another starting pitcher. Since Zimmerman's going to be out at the start of the season, let's look at starters here. So obviously we're not going to sign. Actually, Darvish might. Let's see if anybody has offered him a deal. Okay, he's already been offered a deal, so we're not going to. Sometimes these guys that are injured, you can get them on the cheap. We already offered Liriano a deal. He favors that. Josh Tomlin. Not particularly a great pitcher, but he might be somebody to compete for that last spot. And he's durable. I like that. Let's go ahead and offer Tomlin a contract. Yeah, in 1 year. Yeah, let's go ahead and meet his demand. I'm okay with that. Alright. So let's get forward to the Hall of Fame voting results. That's a bummer about Zimmerman. I was really hoping to have him back. Rodriguez signs. Again, we weren't going to re-sign him, so I'm kind of curious as to what he signed for. What did Francisco Rodriguez sign for? See, $17 million. That's just way too much. So, I mean, there's a chance that if I had submitted the qualifying offer, he might not have accepted it, but I didn't want to take that chance because I didn't want to pay him $15 million. So that's why I ultimately made the decision to not do that. So, we'll just kind of see what happens here. I'm just going to keep skipping forward here. We're going to see what the Hall of Fame voting results are. Hopefully, Tomlin and Liriano will accept our offers in free agency. Liriano does sign, so he is now part of our team. We'll place him on the active roster, so he's one of those. He'll help fill out that pitching staff for us. That's trying to still make some noise this year. And we'll go ahead and just keep moving forward here. And Tomlin. Okay, so Tomlin likes our offer, so that's good. Just going to go ahead and just keep skipping forward here. I might take another quick look at the relievers and see if there are any other relievers that we could look to sign. I know we picked up a couple of guys in the Rule 5 draft, but... Alright, so Tomlin does sign that contract, so we put him on the active roster too, so that's good. So we've got a bunch of different pitching options now for next season coming up. We won't have to worry about that anymore. And so go ahead and we'll see what the Hall of Fame results are, and then I'll probably go ahead and just skip forward until the beginning of the season or beginning of spring training, and we'll go from there so you guys don't have to watch that whole thing. Alright, so Hall of Fame voting results. Chipper Jones gets in on his first year with 83, and Trevor Hoffman. Shockingly enough, Jim Thome did not get in on his first ballot. That is really surprising. But Jim Thome, Vladimir Guerrero fall just short. Bonds and Clemens are creeping up. That's not good to see. Looks like Edgar Martinez is going to fall short, unfortunately. So, a lot of guys dropped off. But yeah, so just Chipper Jones and Trevor Hoffman getting elected this year. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pause here, and I will pick up with you guys back at the beginning of the, right before opening day of the 2018 season. Alright, so we're here at opening day, and I wanted to show you guys what our opening day roster is going to look like. So we will go ahead and we will go into pitching staff. So as you can see here, staff is... Oh, gotta finish asking him to... There we go. Okay, so Fulmer, Norris, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Josh Tomlin, Francisco Liriano, those guys will be our starting rotation. And then we've got Wilson, Steckenrider, who was one of our Rule 5 pickups, Jim Jimenez, Ryan, Alex Wilson, Buck Farmer, and Drew Hutchinson are our relievers. Some of them struggled a little bit in the spring training, but I'm still willing to give them a shot, and we'll see what happens at the beginning of the year. Lineup-wise, a couple of surprises. Vasquez is currently slated as our starting catcher over McCann. Again, not really bothered. I mean, Osmus has full reign, so we'll let him do what he wants. And Espinoza is our starting shortstop as expected. He had a pretty good spring, actually, hit 275. The big surprise here is that Matt Davidson, who was a guy, I believe I picked him up off of waivers. Yeah, I picked him up off of waivers last year, late in the year. He's actually our starting DH over Christian Stewart. Now, for the moment, I'm okay with that, because Stewart had a really rough spring and Davidson had a better spring. So and by ratings-wise, I understand why they're doing that. Now, Stewart's still getting a lot of playing time. Every third game and every fifth game he's going to be playing. And then Landry made our roster because he hit 444 in the spring. He crushed it. So, and then we got Romine and everything. So we're okay right there. Go ahead and we'll look at, we went 14-14 in the spring, which is a lot better than everybody else in the Central. And then preseason predictions, we were predicted only to win 73 games this year. We'll see if we can beat that or not. Miguel Cabrera is predicted to have a really nice year. None of our pitchers are, but we'll see if we can top that. And ironically enough, the Blue Jays are only predicted for 81 wins. But again, sometimes you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes those things are not always right. We'll go into top prospects here. I don't believe we have any. Stewart's still listed as a prospect. He didn't get enough games, and so he's the number 44 overall prospect. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. jumps into the list. He's the number 58 overall prospect, and Max Pentecost is the number 85. And in terms of pitchers, I don't know, like Matt Manning and a lot of our pitchers' ratings have just plummeted. Bo Burrows is 96. A lot of our pitchers' ratings have plummeted. I'm a little bit disappointed with that. I'm hoping that they can kind of right the ship. I don't understand why their ratings have dropped because they had decent years in spring training, or not spring training, in the minors, but we'll kind of have to wait and see what happens. So we're starting the year with a few pitchers on the disabled list, but we'll have to see what happens in that regard. Hopefully they'll come back soon and be able to contribute. But Alright guys, that is it for the 2017 offseason. My next video will be the 2018 first year player draft in the middle of the year. I'll give you guys an update on how we're doing there. So, as always, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave me any comments and feedback. That's always welcome. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the middle of the 2018 season.